bullshit approach to these topics. And the reality is that it's not always unicorns and rainbows. So, if you're feeling brave, let's get into the dark side of the psychedelic experience. I want to start off by saying that I am of the opinion that these dark experiences and all the negative feelings that can follow them are sometimes necessary as part of a bigger path. And this is certainly true of some of my own journeys in which I went into them pretty much expecting a difficult experience. And in some cases, that's exactly what I got, and I'll talk more about that later. And when I say that I expected it to be difficult, this is not me being masochistic. I certainly don't want to suffer unnecessarily, but I was at a point in my life where it was worth putting myself through some discomfort in order to resolve some of the issues that I was having. And in this way, I think of it as very similar to going to the gym. There's no pain, no gain. But as with everything in life, there is no free lunch here. If you want to work through some major issues like depression, anxiety, PTSD, whatever, then you need to understand that you're going to have to wade deep into those dark spaces before you come out of the other side. Something I want to get out of the way up front is the way in which I frame these bad trips as something which can be positive or even necessary. I've seen people have a very visceral and emotional response to statements like this, so I think it's worth taking a moment to clarify. The typical argument here is that if someone goes nuts or kills themselves, then that's a bad trip, and you shouldn't be telling people to go through it. And my response to that is, we aren't really talking about the same thing. The outcome of a trip is not the same thing as the trip itself. Someone could be having the time of their life and be convinced that they've ascended to heaven, and so decide to throw themselves off a tall building. Now, the outcome there is clearly bad, but the quality of the trip itself was pretty awesome up until that point. Likewise, people could be having a fucking amazing time and still suffer a psychotic break. And granted, those things can happen also during bad trips too. But the point is that the outcome of a trip is not the same as the trip itself. Now, I don't want to get bogged down in like a language game here, but hopefully my stance is clear. I'm talking about the feel of the experience, not necessarily the outcome of the experience. I also think it's useful to understand my position on what is going on in these psychedelic experiences and where these negative feelings might come from. I lean more towards the idea that whatever is happening when someone takes one of these substances is a change in consciousness. And by that, I don't mean that we are opening up trans-dimensional portals in our brain or that supernatural spirits are taking over our bodies. When talking about bad trips, you'll often hear people who use the language like, the trip went bad on me, as though the substance itself is some kind of like third-party malevolent force that is like psychologically attacking them. I don't subscribe to that. And likewise, I don't believe in black magic, demons, bad juju, or any other kind of like external entity which people might use to rationalize the cause of bad experiences. Personally, I subscribe to the belief that you only experience what you bring with you. And so if that leads to a scary place, then that's something within you that you need to resolve. And often the only way to do that is to go through it. It's just you. And I actually find that statement much more empowering. If you believe that there's some kind of external supernatural entity out to get you, then there's really no limit as to what that thing can do, and everything bad is its fault and you're just completely helpless. Whereas if you accept that this is you, then you cease to be a victim. You're going to take responsibility for yourself and your